For decades, the core deterrent against Russian expansion in Europe has been a massive physical American footprint. With more than 36,000 active-duty U.S. troops stationed on its soil, Germany hosts the largest deployment of American military power on the continent by a wide margin. That massive footprint is now shrinking. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon have announced that 5,000 of those troops will be withdrawn within the next 6 to 12 months, and the Commander-in-Chief insists this is only the beginning. President Trump has threatened to cut troop levels much further, suggesting that American forces in Italy and Spain could be next to leave. Germany's defense minister, Boris Pistorius, dismissed the Pentagon's decision as foreseeable. He was quick to remind Washington that an American presence in Europe serves the vital interests of both nations, citing mutual benefits for the U.S. as much as for the hosts. Taking thousands of troops off the board destabilizes a security arrangement that European allies have relied on since the Cold War. It forces the entire transatlantic alliance to calculate exactly how much American support they can count on going forward. The official military justification for this move is highly bureaucratic. A Pentagon spokesperson claimed the withdrawal followed a thorough review of theater requirements and conditions on the ground. But few in Washington seem to buy that explanation. Lawmakers across the political spectrum immediately sounded the alarm, questioning the real motives behind a sudden reduction in forward defenses. That leaves a difficult question at the center of this decision. Is the United States executing a calculated grand global strategy, or is the architecture of European security being dismantled over a few hurt feelings? The transatlantic alliance is built on predictability, and it is actively fracturing under the weight of sudden, unilateral directives from Washington. Pinpointing the true motive behind the withdrawal is critical, as the resulting geopolitical shifts for European defense are likely permanent. To understand the spite theory, we have to look at the immediate political trigger. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz gave an address to students where he flatly stated, "The Americans have no strategy, and we're currently being humiliated by Iran." Retaliation was virtually instantaneous. President Trump took to Truth Social, declaring that Merz doesn't know what he's talking about, and accusing the Chancellor of being fine with Iran acquiring a nuclear weapon. The timing is impossible to ignore. The Pentagon's official announcement to pull 5,000 troops from German soil came on the heels of this very public social media feud. Representative Adam Smith, the senior Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee, called it out directly. He stated the withdrawal lacked any coherent strategy and was instead based on the political vengeance of a bruised president. When personal grievances dictate the deployment of thousands of soldiers, it makes American foreign policy unpredictable for its longest-standing allies. But there is an underlying geopolitical reality happening here. Last year, Washington began reducing its troop presence in eastern outposts like Romania. The administration's stated long-term strategic goal is a military pivot. They want to shift the primary focus of American military commitment away from the European theater and push those resources toward the Indo-Pacific region. The problem is, even Trump's own party isn't on board. The Republican chairs of both the House and Senate Armed Services Committees, Mike Rogers and Roger Wicker, have openly stated they are very concerned by the decision to pull forces off the continent. The GOP counterproposal is simple. If troops have to leave Germany, they shouldn't go home. They should be moved further east to maintain a hard, physical deterrent against Vladimir Putin. The administration rejected that compromise. By refusing to reposition those forces eastward, Washington fuels the fear that this move is designed to punish Germany rather than counter global threats. The sudden shift has triggered public warnings from within the 32-member NATO alliance. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk spoke bluntly about the ongoing disintegration of the alliance itself. The move is forcing European leaders to overhaul their economic reality and remilitarize. By 2027, Germany's defense expenditure is projected to hit 105.8 billion euros. Factoring in other defense funds and aid to Ukraine, that pushes Germany to spend 3.1% of its GDP on defense. This would surpass the old NATO targets that previously drew American criticism. The rest of the alliance is preparing for a similar shift. At the recent NATO summit in The Hague, allies agreed to a plan for member states to push toward a 5% GDP investment in their own militaries. Whether triggered by a strategic pivot to Asia or a diplomatic feud, the end result is identical. The American security umbrella is closing over the continent, leaving Europe to manage a greater share of its own security.